Good morning, everyone. So, what a day to be giving a talk. It's pretty amazing. When Dr. Michael asked me to cover for him today, my mind went right into a different talk that I'm going to deliver today. And I thought, well, we do have to recognize our experience, our human experience that we all went through, which is kind of an unusual thought, that we all went through something 10 years ago, all of us. And I thought, well, maybe I could just talk about that for 1 or 2 minutes and move on to another topic. But as a couple weeks moved by, and I found myself more drawn to recognizing our common experience, my whole talk turned into a 9/11 talk. So here we go. And boy, I didn't bring up any tissues, but I probably should have. So in the last couple of weeks, while I was contemplating what I would speak today about, my first thoughts went to my own experience. And I took some time to interview people or talk with people, some I knew and some I don't know. You know, I live up in Ottawa and I have a little store there, so as customers were coming in, if I felt that I could do it, I would approach them if it felt like the right moment and ask them what their first thought of was or is about the coming 10-year anniversary. And then I did that with friends, and that was part of my own experience of looking inward to see what had happened to me 10 years ago and how I had experienced it. And I lived in California. I didn't have firsthand experience of the thing that was going on, but many of us didn't. But we were really surely impacted by the experience, and all of us have a story. The second thing I thought about while I'm trying to come up with the talk is, what about our congregation? I wondered in my mind if any of you had had a direct experience that day and how you might be feeling this morning. You know, I know we're in Palm Springs, far away from ground zero, which we'll talk about, but I wondered, is anybody in here having feelings of emotion because of a direct connection to the thing that happened that day? Did you lose a relative or a friend or a spouse? Did you lose a job directly related to it? And I wondered, I don't even want to know really, but I do. I want our community to be able to help you heal on this day. But I wondered about that. Where is our congregation? Are most people like me kind of with a second extension to what happened, or do some of you have a first-hand experience of what that experience was? And the third thing I thought about is, where are people today, this morning? Many of them are in their religious or spiritual homes today, this morning, and they're hearing a talk or a sermon about the 10-year anniversary, about 9/11. They've pretty much heard some kind of talk for 10 years now. Every Sunday, to recognize that anniversary, the leader of their spiritual community has probably gotten up and had a sermon to talk about the experience and to help us move through any pain or anguish or anger or fear that we have around it. And so I wondered where all the people are in the desert in the Coachella Valley this morning. Where have they gone to experience this in their spiritual family? And then I wondered, how different would our experience in Science of Mind be from the many other centers in the desert? You know, we believe our principle is that we don't look at the effect. We only know the cause, the truth, that God is good, God is perfect, God is whole, and each one of us is that, right? That is our truth. We said this last week, there's no evil. There's no evil. If there's evil in the world, it's because of our mistaken belief in what we see as a human experience. But we know that there's no evil behind any of it. And so we would take a firm stand. I'm going to talk about our burden. In Science of Mind, we kind of shoulder a burden of recognizing the truth of every single experience and seeing the effect and putting that aside and going right to our oneness. So would that be a different message here this morning that we're experiencing than some other people might be experiencing in their religious families? We all want to heal, and we recognize the experience as being very real. Everybody understand that. In Science of Mind, we don't negate the human experience that somebody's going through. It's the truth of us at that moment. Yes? Oh. Had a hand.
To turn the TV on just about that time the first one hit. And I said, oh my God. And then the next one, when the other plane hit it, and I thought, all those poor people. And I remember that I had a girlfriend that lived in New York, and she said 3 children that were in it. She worked in that building, and she had 3 children in the nursery below. And I said, oh Lord, get those children out of there now.
Right.
And my husband said, what's going on? He come running in. I said, both of those buildings are collapsing. He says, why? He says, planes ran into them. It was just, I just couldn't believe it.
Right.
When I saw the first one.
Thank you for saying that.
But they did get out.
It reminds me, which I'm going to share a little bit, but every one of our experience, our story is so different and so the same. So different and so the same. It was hard this week not to see in the newspaper or the magazines or online people going and giving testimonials about their experience. And it's rich. It's rich with life. So this was part of my conversation too, and I thank you for sharing that. Then the other thing I contemplated the week is what would Ernest Holmes say about this? You probably all don't do that, but occasionally, and this is strange to admit, but occasionally, like when I feel like there's a conundrum or something's frustrating, I'll say, well, what if I had scheduled a practitioner session with Ernest Holmes and went to meet him for an hour? What would he tell me? So 9/12, the day after, I'm, feeling like totally like I can't even know what happened. This is so overwhelming. I can't get it. And I schedule an appointment with him, and I go in. What would he tell me? He'd get on my case right away, wouldn't he? We do that with our friends, and say, stop living in the effect. Get past this drama. I know it's real, he'd say. He'd yell at you probably. I know it's real, but you have to move through it and know the truth about yourself. Or else what? Or else you'll stay steeped in that experience, in that effect, and then you will what? Attract more of it to your life. That's our principle. And so he would get right on our case and tell us to turn it around, to see past or through the effect and know the truth. That's what we do here. Yeah. If you're here for the first time today, oh no, because we're kind of like hardliners. The truth with a capital T is our truth. And it's not possible for us to, I want to say jump over that or ignore that truth. We make a commitment in our philosophy, in our lives, to stand behind that. It's not always easy, and today is not an easy day for us to do that. It certainly is not easy with what's on the news and the TV and the stories, and the human, the compelling part of us that wants to hear and have sympathy for everybody else's pain and suffering. It's kind of like we're conditioned to receive that and work with that more than we are conditioned to know the absolute truth about who we are. So that was something else I thought about. What would Ernest Holmes say, and how would he give me the rap on what is science of mind and how to look at this? And then send me out to the experience of the world. And by the way, this is kind of true for me. It wasn't Ernest Holmes, but I remember really clearly knowing the truth that if I got caught up in the effect, in the drama, in the horrific nature of it, it would not serve me or anyone else. And I, for some reason, was able to turn away from the effect and be in spiritual mind treatment. And then that was supported the following Sundays in the center I was at. So I was able to have a pretty spiritual reaction to it, which has, by the way, made me feel separate and awkward around the experience for 10 years. And I'll talk a little bit about that also. So I wanted to acknowledge that may be the truth for some of us also. The other thing that I really thought about a lot is what about the children that were just being born 10 years ago, and where are they today in their consciousness around this thing that happened to all of us, the whole world? And of course the young people, and there's been a lot of reports on this. People magazine had a series on this past week. The New York Times did a special on the youth that were just about to be born or never knew their father or their mother in the experience. And what about those children? Where are they today? How have they grown up in relationship to the 9/11 experience. I keep wanting not to say tragedy, by the way, so you'll see me pause.